everyone. Welcome to Book Chat. My name is Leslie and I'm the Reading Machine Coordinator for Monterey County Free Libraries. Today, the book that I'm going to be chatting about is called Hallelujah Anyway, Rediscovering Mercy. It's by Anne Lamott. Anne Lamott is one of my favorite spiritual writers, and I've read all of her books that she's written about spirituality. This one in particular is 176 pages long. It was published in 2017. It's extremely readable, just like her other books. And the thing about reading her, Anne Lamott's spiritual books, is that, you know, the feeling of like the world is on fire, you're sitting there, everything's burning, you have no idea what to do. Reading one of her books is like taking a big drink of cold water. So soothing, makes me feel really comforted and understood in a time where everything can feel really confusing and chaotic. When it comes to her spiritual writings, I really don't think that you can go wrong. They're pretty much all the same. That isn't a criticism. It's actually, I think, one of their strengths. These books are filled with stories about everyday people who have faced enormous challenges and have come out the other side, you know, with, you know, some kind of better understanding or maybe even having become a better person. I find them very inspiring and often very funny and poignant. And I want to read one such story from this book. It's an excerpt. It's kind of long, so bear with me, but I think it does a really good idea of talking about what mercy is, because this book does focus on mercy a lot. So here we go with this kind of long excerpt. A very depressed teenage friend had to take a leave of absence 2 months before the end of her freshman year in college. She was beautiful, with thick, silky hair and long legs. Squashed by school, her family, the culture of beauty and success, and her own bad brain, she had taken to cutting. She could hardly stand to be awake. Her parents wisely offered her refuge without demands or their hot breath on her neck. She slept a lot and read graphic novels. Then, one day, out in the garage, looking for a box of her early poetry, she found an empty aquarium. And so much came back to her. Wonder, focus, caring. She filled the aquarium with water and tadpoles from a local pond. The water looked so awful and unappetizing, but it was the water the tadpoles knew, and they thrived. They're fascinating, in a spermy sort of way, with bulges below their heads that are going to be legs. Down the road, the legs will appear and the tails will disappear. Not zoop, but slowly and clumsily from under the bulge of skin. They're black, plump and shiny, the size of papaya seeds. Then the young woman did the most terrifying thing of all. She made a mistake. She added too much boiled spinach. The water began to look like something out of Lord of the Rings, or pea soup. The tadpoles developed white stuff on their bodies. She worried they would die. She had fouled the pond water through her own zeal. But God is merciful, and the girl was smart and resourceful. So she scooped out much of the spinach and diluted the water with more pond water. A few tadpoles died all at once, but somehow she did not take the deaths as hard proof that she was defective. She made a trumpet mouthpiece of her fist, played taps, moved on. You got to see the girl's heart and attentiveness, just as when she'd been a child, dreaming of a future as a scientist, studying this thrilling stuff. A microcosm of creation where you can actually see what happens in creation with your very own eyes. Other people not paying attention could see the tadpole and the frog, but she wanted to see in between, like the silence between musical notes, where the mystery is. When the tadpoles grew legs, she started feeding them mealworms. When they turned into frogs the size of her pinky fingernail, she returned them to the pond on the grassier side, where there was cover and shade from the sun and predators. Mercy as shade. She went back to the pond for another generation of tadpoles. She was able to feel joyous responsibility again for the first time in a while. She talked incessantly about the tadpoles, with excitement and worry. We could see the bright kid again, the eccentric, brilliant, curious scientist 8 years old. Here, with these tadpoles and murky water, was a clear channel. Here was a tiny future that she could possibly work with again. And that excerpt, I think, really illustrates Anne Lamott's, one of her greatest gifts, is that she offers these stories as beacons of hope in times where, you know, we're definitely in the area between tadpole and frog. And, you know, we don't know what we're going to become, and we don't know how we're going to get there. But she offers this as, hey, you know, this is how you get there. And you might hate the process, but it'll happen and it'll be okay. And I really like that. I find myself leaning on her work particularly hard these days, when everything feels, you know, uncertain. And I really recommend her book, Hallelujah Anyway, Rediscovering Mercy, and any of her other spiritual writings. We have some more of her volumes in our collection. So, thank you very much, everybody, for coming to this episode of Book Chat. Enjoy your reading and have a great week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.